tuning into the Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce Sports. Changing it up a little bit. Going to take some getting used to. Changing some things up a little bit. The name is changing the show. Not much else has changed. Nothing else has changed besides that. So that's a little different. Changing some things up. Took some time off last week to work on the show. Work on a lot of different things. But was able to change the show, so the new show name, The Logan Ward Show, here on 12 Ounce Sports. It's going to take me a while to not say between the lines. But The Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce Sports Network. Thank you all for coming in here today. Thank you all for spending your morning with me. Got a lot to get into. We had a lot of stuff going on yesterday. The Last Dance premiered on ESPN. That gave everyone, really, I feel like everyone in the country gave us some. It gave us some content, and it gave us some time to. People were live tweeting together. People were together at last. So The Last Dance premiered yesterday. We're going to talk about that, of course. We'll talk about some NFL draft. Tua's draft stock. Is it actually falling, and is it a good or a bad thing? And then we're also going to talk to Emily Walden. She is the national prospect writer, and she also covers the minor league team for the Detroit Tigers. So she'll be on later on in the show, probably in about 35 minutes, to talk about how the coronavirus is affecting minor league baseball in particular. So a lot to get into today here on the Logan Ward Show on 12 Ounce Sports Network. But let's get started with the biggest topic. The Last Dance last night premiered. The first 2 episodes premiered last night, and it was fantastic. It was exactly what I think everyone needed. I mean, we needed the distraction. It was motivational. It was inspirational. It was, a lot of drama. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect what was going on yet. What that documentary was yesterday. Perfect. And I have so many thoughts about the documentary itself. I love the way they structured it. I love the way that they've done it, the flow of it. I love that they didn't censor it, that this isn't going to be a censored documentary, because I feel like that's weird. They have the censored version on ESPN too, but I love the fact that they didn't censor it, because to me, that's what professional sports is. If you don't expect the kind of adult content, the kind of language in sports, let's be honest. If you've watched All or Nothing, you expect nothing less. And so I'm glad that they were able to do that, and they were able to do a censored version and a non-censored version on network TV. I thought that was fantastic, and good for ESPN for being able to do that. I think it made it so much better. But I thought it was interesting. I'm not going to talk specifically about the content of the documentary, because that can be another time. We have 5 weeks of this. But I do want to talk about something that has kind of surfaced throughout this. And that surfaced before this documentary aired yesterday. Look, I understand that most people don't want to do the LeBron Jordan comparison during this time. I get that. A lot of people, a lot of people are talking about, it being not really cool for them to do. And so I don't buy that. I think that a lot of the times, look, LeBron won a championship. 3-1, came back from the greatest deficit in NBA history, and all Jordan fans were out there talking about LeBron. At the height of LeBron's career, Jordan fans were out there saying he would never be what Jordan was. And then all over Twitter, I saw, well, you should just sit this one out, guys. We shouldn't compare these two right now. This is a time where we should just enjoy this moment. That's coming from all these Jordan stans. And I love Michael Jordan. He's incredible. I mean, watching his games, watching him, I think it's crazy how good he was during college, during going into high school, going into college, going into the NBA, his rookie season. From day one, he was good. So I'm not going to take any of that away from him. But I think that it's very interesting that there's some things that have been coming out about this documentary. And one of the things is how this came about, how this was made. Look, they've been holding on to this film since 1998. That's 22 years that they've been holding on to this film. And more specifically, it's been 22 years of Michael Jordan holding on to this film. Ramona Shelburne from ESPN, she's an ESPN senior writer. She put out a great piece about about Michael Jordan and this documentary, how it was made and what kind of went into it. It was ambitious to go out and try to film this last season, this 97-98 season. Not a lot of people knew that this tape, this just archive of footage existed. But Michael had full control over it. Michael had complete control over the footage, and he didn't want to release it yet. He waited, and he waited, and he waited, and he waited. He waited for 22 years for it to finally be seen. Finally be seen before he released it. 22 years. But this was, I mean, when you have this much footage, when you have this much archive footage of possibly the greatest basketball dynasty of all time, in terms of magnitude, in terms of it being consequential, you can talk about the Celtics, Russell Celtics. That doesn't really count. Jordan's Bulls were as magnetic, as magnificent, as good as any team that there will or has been. And to have this footage of their last season together, going into a season knowing that your coach is this is their last year, Scottie Pippen's kind of on the ropes, to go into this and film all of it, and to be holding onto this for 22 years is pretty remarkable. It's absolutely pretty remarkable. Now, I can say a lot about the documentary, and we're going to have 5 weeks of this, and this is absolutely perfect for the league. Absolutely perfect for the league. But it's interesting. It's very interesting, the timing of this. Here's a piece from Ramona Shelburne talking about the All Access. Here's what she's had. This is in her article. Tolan, who is a director, he's been with this. He wanted to do this for a while. He was with the meeting to try to pitch Michael Jordan this situation. Here's what he said. This is a quote from the Ramona Shelburne article. Quote, "The universe has a funny sense of humor. Because when I woke up, I put on ESPN while I was getting dressed. And there's LeBron and the Cavaliers parading through the streets of Cleveland with the trophy that he just won." That's the quote in Ramona Shelburne's article. Goes on to say, this is Ramona, he headed over to Jordan's office at the Hornets Arena hoping he would get a chance to present the lookbook he had made. No one ever had gotten this close before. Jordan wouldn't let them get in. No one had gotten this close meeting with Michael Jordan about making this documentary. And it was the day that LeBron was holding up the trophy in Cleveland after coming back from 3-1 that Jordan said, "Let's do it." Michael Jordan's only been worried about one person when it comes to his legacy. I think Michael's a pretty confident man. I think I think Jordan is a really confident in his legacy, what he's done on the basketball court. I think he is extremely confident in what he's done. I think he is extremely confident. But there's only one person that has been able to kind of go up against his legacy. There's only one person that he has worried about in terms of his legacy. It wasn't Kobe. Kobe mimicked Jordan. Kobe looked like Jordan. Kobe's jump shots looked like Jordan. His layups, his drive to the hoop looked like Jordan. His celebrations looked like Jordan. Kobe Bryant was Michael Jordan 2.0. Kobe Bryant was Michael Jordan in baggy shorts. So Michael, he never really thought of Kobe really, challenging his legacy, because he didn't. Everything Kobe did looked like Jordan. He had the work ethic, he had the tenacity, he had the jump shot, he had the drive to the rim, he had the athleticism. Everything that Jordan did looked kind of like Jordan. So Jordan wasn't worried about him. Jordan's not worried about Kevin Durant. Yeah, he's a tall, lanky guy. He's going to have some points scored, but he's not the pure player that I was. Kevin Durant's a really good player. Legacy doesn't stack up. The one person that is challenging Jordan's legacy is LeBron, and Jordan knows it. Tim Duncan, too shy, doesn't have the superstardom to challenge his legacy. Had 5 championships, didn't have the kind of the gravitas that you would need. Didn't have it. Not worried about Tim Duncan and his legacy. But LeBron, 16 years old on the cover of Sports Illustrated. 16 years old, the chosen one. Coming into the league out of high school, skipping college, coming into the league at 18 years old, and playing pretty well, dominating from game 1. That poses a threat. LeBron's the closest athlete we've seen to the superstardom of Michael Jordan. He doesn't have the shoe line like Jordan does. Jordan has his own brand of shoe line. I get that. But LeBron signed a lifetime deal with Nike. $1 billion deal with Nike. That's pretty close. LeBron has the entertainment empire. He has what he's building with Spring Hill Entertainment. He's executive producing things. He's doing all sorts of stuff off the court in terms of business, just like Michael Jordan did. He's in Space Jam. He's making another Space Jam. Michael Jordan was only concerned about one person when it comes to legacy, and it's LeBron James. And the fact that the day LeBron was hoisting that trophy in the streets of Cleveland, that day, Jordan decides, let's make this documentary. Let's release the footage. Shows me and should show you he cares about what LeBron does, and he might not be completely threatened by LeBron in his legacy. But he knows that if there's one person who can surpass his legacy, it's LeBron James. He's going to have the stats. He won't have the championships, but he'll beat him in every statistical category all time. He'll have the branding of Michael. He'll have the gravitas of Michael. He has the entertainment business. He's going to have the business acumen of Michael. There's one person that Michael's been watching to see if his legacy is going to be better, and it's LeBron James. Michael's been watching. Michael cares about LeBron. What's LeBron going to do? And vice versa. LeBron cares about Jordan. But what this article told me, Ramona Shelburne, ESPN, what this article told me is that the day Cleveland was hosting the championship parade, Jordan said, let's roll the tape. Let's do this. Let's do it. I'm finally ready to talk because I can't let that man's legacy get any higher than what it is. I need to show everybody what I can do, what I did, because people might have forgotten. And his legacy is getting better. LeBron. So I need to do something about it. That's what it tells me. Let me switch to this for real quick. The NFL drafts this week. Super excited for it. I think that The Last Dance, the NFL draft, this is perfect for the sports fans in the country and around the world. This is a fantastic time to be in this situation because we're looking at the NFL draft as live sports. We're looking at appointment TV when it comes to the documentary. This is fantastic. But I want to talk about Tua. And I know I've been talking about Tua quite often because to me, he is this draft. What happens to Tua? That is the most interesting thing about this draft coming up is what happens to him. What happens to Tua Tagovailoa? Because everybody else we know Joe Burrow is going to go number 1. We know Chase Young is going to go number 2. After that, we don't know what's going to happen. If people trade up, it's going to be to get Tua. If people trade down, it's going to be because someone wants Tua in the way, and they're going to move down to get it. And if they stay pat, will see Tua fall. I said last week, don't be surprised if Tua falls in this draft. Don't be surprised. All the stars are lining up for him to fall. If Isaiah Simmons is at number 5 in the Dolphins and they go out and take him, I won't be upset with them because Isaiah Simmons is one of the best players in this draft. If the Giants go offensive tackle at 4 and Isaiah Simmons is sitting at the board at 5 and the Dolphins take him, I wouldn't be surprised because we'll see. Is Tua and Justin Herbert where are they at? Where are they at together? What do teams think of those two? If you think that Tua is only a little bit better than Justin Herbert, then you might take a gamble and just not draft Tua at 5. So I think Tua is absolutely the most interesting prospect in this draft. He is going to make this draft work. Absolutely make this draft work. Don't be surprised if he falls. Don't be surprised. The injuries, the injury history, you got the questions of, okay, well, he played with a loaded team. He played with 2 first-round receivers that are going to be coming out. He played with offensive linemen that are going to be coming out in the first round this year. He played with a loaded roster, absolutely loaded. His receivers were pretty much wide open all the time. He didn't have to make the big decisions and throw in the windows. So those are some question marks. His Wonderlic score is one of the lowest. And I'm not a huge believer in the Wonderlic score. I just think it's another knock on him, and it's another thing that teams might be worried about. And in this draft, this particular year, where you didn't get to have the pro days, teams don't really get to have the medicals that they want to look onto it. They don't get to have the same kind of routine that they're used to. Don't be surprised if he falls and a lot of teams just stay pat. This is a very interesting draft. Very interesting draft, and I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen. I can say that the Dolphins are going to draft Tua at 5. The Detroit Lions are interested in trading back from number 3. Is that true? I don't know. Is anybody going to trade up for 3? I have no idea. We're going to see if it's going to be business as usual. Some GMs have said no, expect business as usual. Some GMs have said, no, this isn't usual. We're all in an unusual time. There's not going to be as many trades. People don't know what to do. This draft is going to be different. So I don't know what's going to happen on Thursday. I don't know what's going to happen on Thursday night. But Tua's draft stock, is it falling? Maybe. And if it's falling, I think it's a good thing for Tua. I would much rather fall in the draft and go to a better team than be drafted, 5th by the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are moving in the right direction, so I wouldn't be too concerned about going to the Dolphins. But what if you fall to 16 and all of a sudden the Patriots come up and draft you? Now you're working with the Patriots medical team. Now you're working with Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft. That organization, that would be ideal. I don't know what Tua is going to look like. I still have him going in the top 5. I still have him. I think that the Dolphins will draft him at 5 if he's available, depending on if Isaiah Simmons is there. I don't think they're going to I don't think they'll draft an offensive tackle over Tua, but I wouldn't be surprised if they went out and drafted an Isaiah Simmons over Tua at 5 and just hope that Tua falls to 18, or if they don't draft Tua at 5 and the Chargers decide to draft him at 6, then you're looking at Justin Herbert in the middle of the round. But don't be surprised if Tua's falling. I think that all this stuff is kind of added up a little bit. All this stuff is kind of added up to him falling a little bit. The medicals, all the questions about him working with a bunch of great talent with Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Nick Saban, first-round offensive linemen all over the place. I think that's going to work against him a little bit. But we'll see what happens. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get into some of the news around the sports world. Of course, The Last Dance is still happening, and that's kind of a big thing. But we'll get into some of the news and highlights around the sports world. We got Emily Walden coming by in about 18 minutes, 20 minutes from now. We'll talk to her about the minor league baseball, how that's being affected by the coronavirus. That's coming up here on the Logan Ward Show on 12 Ounce Sports Network. We'll be right back.
For the marching exercise, you want to sit down in the center front of your chair, bring your feet shoulder width apart, and form a 90-degree angle with your knees. From here, you're going to lift one foot and raise the opposite arm, just as you march in place in your chair. Make sure you keep that core nice and tight and you breathe into it, and also maintain good posture with a straight back.
DrinkAid, ready for distribution worldwide.
That's what's needed to get to that next level. I'm Rob Pennell, and I'm going to teach you how to be an offensive machine.
Nothing makes us happier at Lexington Law than when our clients cancel our services. Listen to this client call and see what we mean.
Lexington Law Firm, this is Erin.
I would like to cancel my account.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, don't be. Actually, you guys have done tremendous work for me, and I was working with you for several years now. And my goal was to get a mortgage written by the end of this year, and I just got that mortgage commitment.
That is wonderful.
My credit went from like 440 working with you guys to 700.
Nice.
And I got a very good 4.25% 30-year fixed rate mortgage. I have nothing at all bad to say. If you ever want me to write a testimonial, well, I will. As a matter of fact, I've recommended you to a lot of friends.
Lexington Law has served over 500,000 clients, taking expert action on their credit that has led to the removal of millions of questionable negative items from their credit reports. Call now and learn more about how Lexington Law may be able to help you in the removal of negative items from your credit report, such as collections, late payments, charge-offs, and many others. Call Lexington Law today.
Welcome back to the Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce Sports Network. Follow us on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Logan B. Ward. You can follow 12 Ounce Sports on Twitter as well. Just search 12 Ounce Sports and you'll be able to find them there. And you can find the show on Twitter as well. Let me get that Twitter handle for you. We changed the name of the show. We were Between the Lines. Now we're the Logan Ward Show. So it is at Logan Ward Show. You can follow us there on Twitter. Super excited about some of the progress that we're making in the show. Super excited about the progress that we will continue to make with the show. So be sure to follow along there. Follow on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram as well, Logan B. Ward. Got a lot of cool things going on with the show. A lot of sports news is still going on. A lot of sports news is still happening, even though we are in a pandemic. And I know I've said that quite a bit now, but it is the truth that it keeps happening and that it keeps being, relevant. And sports are still going on, and there's still sports conversations to be had. So let's get into what happened last night.
Let's start right out. Hey, what happened?
Missed last night's action? Don't worry. we got you covered.
He throws it across the field to Dyson.
He's got something.
30,
He's got
40,
something.
50,
He's got it.
40,
He's got it.
20, 10.
He's got it.
End zone. Touchdown, Titans.
What happened?
What happened here on the Logan Ward Show, brought to you by Jazz Sportsbook. A lot is going on. The NFL draft this week, this just came out a couple of minutes ago. Sources are saying that the 49ers are open to trading their first-round picks, multiple picks, not just one. The sources are saying this. I mean, this came out literally. ESPN article put up 13 minutes ago. So this is some. Not really breaking news, because breaking news seems bigger than this. But sources are saying that the 49ers are open to trading their first-round picks this year. They're fielding trade calls for both of their first-round picks, the 13th and the 31st overall. It will be interesting to see if the Patriots move up at 13. Depending on what happens with Tua, depending on what happens with Justin Herbert, if they have a quarterback that they like in the first round, it'll be interesting to see if they trade up for 13, if they give them the first round pick that they have in a couple of twos, because the Patriots have the second most draft picks behind Miami in this draft. So they have the capital. Do they go up to the 49ers and say, look, I want this. We're going to trade. I want the 13th pick, depending on what happens with Tua at 5, or Justin Herbert at 6. If Tua's gone at 5, I feel like Justin Herbert's gone at 6, and then maybe they say, yeah, we'll hold back a little bit. But if that's not the case, does 13 get you Tua? Does 13 get you Tua? There's not a lot of teams that need quarterbacks right now. So does getting to 13 get you Tua Tagovailoa? Don't know. But if he falls, it'll be interesting to see if maybe the Patriots would be interested in moving up to get Tua at 13 if he does fall. So the 13th and 31st overall picks are on the block. They're fielding trade calls for those picks. San Francisco doesn't have another pick scheduled until number 156 overall in the 5th round. So they want more picks in the second, third, and fourth round. They want picks there to try to bolster that lineup that they have that got to a Super Bowl last year. So that's breaking news. So sources are saying the Niners are open to trading their first-round picks. Novak Djokovic said that he'll be troubled over a potential vaccination plan. The tennis group are saying that maybe if they want to go on with the tennis season, they're going to have to get vaccinated. And Novak Djokovic is he's opposed to vaccinations, so he said he'll have to make a decision if that is the case. If they decide that vaccination is the only way we can do this, vaccination is the only thing we can do. If they decide to go that route, then he says he'll have to make a decision based off of his beliefs, and so. Very interesting to see if that's a norm with a lot of people who, a lot of European people, a lot of foreign people, not United States born, because I feel like in the United States, we mostly do get vaccinated. I know that there are a group of people that don't get vaccinated, and that's their thought process, and that's, they have their right to believe what they believe. It'll be interesting to see if a lot of Europeans feel the same way, and if a lot of people who are on the tour, quote unquote, the tour of tennis, if they decide to go in and say I don't feel comfortable with this. And Novak Djokovic is one of the top 3 players in all of tennis. You have Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic. Those are the top 3. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. So we'll be keeping an eye on that for sure. Peyton Manning told Joe Burrow to don't learn from a tough rookie year. If you have a tough rookie year, you can learn from it. Peyton Manning had one of the worst rookie years in NFL history. I think he had 28 interceptions in his rookie year that had a lot of, that's a lot of interceptions. So Peyton told Joe Burrow to learn from it, and if he broke his record, which I don't know if it's a record anymore, but he said, if you break my record, I wouldn't be upset with it. Sources saying the Jacksonville Jaguars, they are talking to teams about Leonard Fournette being the subject of trade talks for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Don't know how true that is. Don't know if I'm a team I want that. If I'm a team, I don't know if I want to have that. I don't know if I don't know if Leonard Fournette's getting me over the hump to win a championship. I know that the Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio was talking about maybe the Chiefs go out and try to trade for him and have a good running back to try to go along with the passing attack that you have and try to win another Super Bowl this year. So it doesn't feel right. We'll see what happens, but running backs look, Christian McCaffrey got paid a lot. I understand that, but running backs, the tread on the tire is not very long. He's been hurt. Leonard Fournette's been hurt in the past. Don't know if a team's going to take a gamble on getting Leonard Fournette. Just don't see it happening. But stranger things have happened. We'll see. But he is the source of trade talks for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Wayne Gretzky, he said he thinks that the NHL will be able to have a postseason by the end of the summer. I don't know what the NHL's thinking about. I'm not really the hockey guy. There's plenty of shows on this network on 12 Ounce Sports that are a lot better at hockey than I am. You got a lot of people that are better at hockey than I am, and a lot of shows on this network, 12 Ounce Sports, that can have more, thoughtful opinions about the NHL. But I don't know. I don't know if the NBA is coming back at the end of the year, at the end of the summer. I don't know if the MLB is going to start at the end of the summer. We're just kind of waiting and seeing. And that's kind of how I think a lot of people are taking it right now. Just wait and see. Wait and see. Don't know. Just don't know yet. But we'll see what happens with this in the next couple of weeks. See if there's any more news coming out of the sports world and those leagues about this situation. But who knows? We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Emily Walden. She is the national prospect writer for The Athletic. She also covers the Detroit Tigers minor league system. So we'll talk to her about how the coronavirus has affected minor league baseball. That's coming up next here on The Logan Ward Show on 12 Ounce Sports Network.
For the marching exercise, you want to sit down in the center front of your chair, bring your feet shoulder width apart, and form a 90-degree angle with your knees. From here, you're going to lift one foot and raise the opposite arm, just as you march in place in your chair. Make sure you keep that core nice and tight and you breathe into it, and also maintain good posture with a straight back.
Drink Aid, ready for distribution worldwide.
That's what's needed to get to that next level. I'm Rob Pennell, and I'm going to teach you how to be an offensive machine.
Nothing makes us happier at Lexington Law than when our clients cancel our services. Listen to this client call and see what we mean.
Lexington Law Firm, this is Erin.
I would like to cancel my account.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, don't be. Actually, you guys have done tremendous work for me, and I was working with you for several years now. And my goal was to get a mortgage written by the end of this year, and I just got that mortgage commitment.
That is wonderful.
My credit went from like 440 working with you guys to 700.
Nice.
And I got a very good 4.25% 30-year fixed rate mortgage. I have nothing at all bad to say. If you ever want me to write a testimonial, well, I will. As a matter of fact, I've recommended you to a lot of friends.
Lexington Law has served over 500,000 clients, taking expert action on their credit that has led to the removal of millions of questionable negative items from their credit reports. Call now and learn more about how Lexington Law may be able to help you in the removal of negative items from your credit report, such as collections, late payments, charge-offs, and many others. Call Lexington Law today.
Welcome back to the Logan Ward Show. Today I have Emily Walden with me. She is a national prospect writer for The Athletic. She also covers the Detroit Tigers minor league system for The Athletic. Emily, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
I've asked my last couple of guests this. What are you doing during this time? What's your day-to-day looking like right now?
Yeah, I actually have a part-time day job that I'm working. Obviously, writing is quite slow
right.
for obvious reasons. So I'm doing a part-time day job, which is considered essential work. So still getting a paycheck, which I'm very, very grateful for. And then just working a lot on different writing projects and house projects and trying to stay sane just like everybody else.
What is the hardest challenge during this time for you, especially covering minor league baseball, trying to find stories? What's the hardest challenge? Is it just the fact that there's nothing going on, or is it trying to kind of navigate through this?
Yeah, I think part of it that a lot of people don't realize is the time that you spend at the park is really where a lot of that stuff comes from. The relationships, the conversations, that's where a lot of story content surfaces from. And obviously now being at the park, you do have to dig a lot deeper and talk to a lot more people over the phone or over FaceTime or Skype just to try and keep those ideas fresh. And it's very challenging right now for a lot of people. So definitely know it's tough.
You wrote a great article about how the baseball shutdown is hitting the minor leagues. It was fantastic. It kind of gets into the nitty-gritty of it. But how is Major League Baseball trying to help the minor league system right now?
I think it's kind of on a team-by-team basis. Major League Baseball did issue a requirement for teams to finish paying the spring training allowance for their minor league players, which for people who don't know, minor leaguers do not get paid until the start of the season. So they have been required to pay, I believe it was through May or the start of the regular season. And now with the start of the regular season very much up in the air, it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to handle the next phase of those.
I'm curious to get your thoughts. What do you think the future of minor league baseball is going to be after this kind of all dies down? Do you think it's going to be the exact same, or is Major League Baseball going to try to make some changes with it?
Well, I think for any major changes, the minor league players would need a union, but I think that's still very far off just because of how complex that whole process would be. Starting next season, if Commissioner Manfred gets what he's wanted to do, there'll be 42 less affiliates as of 2021. This is the final season before that cut happens. So as of right now, that's still on track to happen unless something really, really big shifts. So next season is definitely going to look a lot different for a lot of people.
Have you been able to talk with a lot of the players recently?
Yeah, we talk on and off.
How are they kind of handling this situation?
Pretty much the same as everybody else. They miss playing, they miss being at the field, but they understand the severity of the situation, and they're trying to do their best to be respectful of what the current rules and guidelines are. but they're all just very hungry to get back to the field.
You mentioned that they don't get paid until kind of the start of the season. Do most minor league players have a day job? Off-season jobs?
Not during the season.
Or off-season jobs?
Many of them do during the off-season, yes, but not during the season. So once spring training starts, they are full-time baseball.
Also am curious about this. We're speaking to Emily Walden. She's national prospect writer for The Athletic. She covers the Detroit Tigers minor league system. Do you think that there's going to be a major drop-off in the amount of players? Do you think people are just going to kind of hang them up early because of this?
Depending on where they're at in their careers, there's definitely going to be some guys whose careers will end over this for varying reasons. It's going to come down to guys who have been trying to rehab, or if there are people who maybe were trying to make a comeback of some kind. Yeah, it's going to affect a lot of players in different ways.
You go to a lot of ballparks. I saw on your Twitter feed the other day you were talking about the favorite ballparks. What is your favorite ballpark to go to?
The major league level, I do spend a lot of time at Comerica, but I think my favorite has probably got to be Petco in San Diego. I think that was one of my favorite ones I've been to. And then minor league, I don't know. That's a good question. I'd have to give that some thought.
I went to a Nashville Sounds game about a year and a half ago, and they have the coolest scoreboard in sports with the guitar. It's the coolest scoreboard in sports to me.
That's awesome.
Have you been to Nashville?
I've been to Nashville. I've never been to that park, though.
Oh, yeah. Their scoreboard, it's a guitar, and on like the handle part is like the video, and then on the strings where the strings are is like the score innings. It's a really cool park. It is.
I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah, it was fantastic. How minor league baseball, to me, a little bit more than Major League Baseball is all about the fan experience. They do kind of the quirky games and stuff like that during minor league games. How do you think COVID and the coronavirus situation, how is that going to affect, the minor league, experience going to the games?
Oh, it's going to take a lot of time before things start to feel normal again. I'm honestly not sure how long. But it's going to be a bit before we have actual full crowds again. So it's just going to depend what the CDC regulates and what the commissioner of baseball and all of the minor league associates decide to do. Because right now it's obviously going to be a very long time before stadiums are allowed to fill up again.
Do you think the Major League Baseball has a season this year?
I think Major League Baseball will have some form of a season. I very highly doubt that will include fans, which is unfortunate, but with the direction the season's going, I think it's going to be pretty difficult to make that happen.
Yeah. She's Emily Walden from The Athletic. Emily, thank you so much for stopping by and talking to us today.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
Yeah. That was Emily Walden, national prospect writer for The Athletic. It's an interesting thing about what minor league baseball is going to do in this situation and how they're going to adapt now that this has kind of happened. We'll see what happens in the near future. That's going to do it for us today. Tomorrow we have another loaded show for you. We'll still talk some NBA. We'll talk some NFL draft. We also have Ryan Lavner stopping by. He's the senior writer for NBC's Golf Channel. And he covers some college golf for NBC as well, so he'll come on and we'll talk to him about the PGA, how they've kind of changed some things due to the coronavirus and the impact on the PGA, and now their updated schedule. So Ryan Lavner will stop by tomorrow here on the Logan Ward Show. Y'all have a fantastic day. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, on Twitter. Be sure to go to our YouTube channel, Logan Ward, and we'll be able to find you there. But that's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow. This has been the Logan Ward Show on 12 Ounce Sports Network.